I just feel like they're more mad. I mean, they're mad at Donald Trump, but they're more mad at the fact that they lost the narrative. Like, people started to just think, hey, I don't want to share this country with people who don't belong here.
Right.
Hey, I'm tired of spending a lot of money at the grocery store. I'm tired of these wars that we have nothing to do with, and we're over here funding other people's borders. But then we can't help people in North Carolina that went through a flood, and then people in California who have fires. They're going like, what are we doing? Why aren't we helping our own people? And I actually just think that they just lost the narrative, and they're more mad at themselves that they couldn't keep it up.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So a lot happened last week. If you guys are wondering why we cover things so late, so we had a couple of comments with this, where people are like, we cover things a little later only because we don't record every day. We record the next week, so everything we talk about is the week before. It's about the week, whatever happened the week before. But I know some of y'all were like, what other people do you guys watch? And if you guys really want to know, like, on the ball, like, news about everything that we talk about, but they do it every day. We always watch Mark Dice. We watch Black Conservative Perspective. Of course, Matt Walsh, Devory. If you guys watch Devory, Darkins, he's really good too. But anyways, I was going to give you guys some examples. If you guys want to know some people who have news every day, so we don't do it every day. But yeah, so just in case you guys want to know, check all those people out. Trump had his joint address to Congress. I think that was really disappointing, as you guys all know, because it went viral. It's happened a few days ago, obviously. But it was really kind of sad to see how the Democrats behaved. I was just telling Kara that I've seen a lot of these addresses, right? And from all different presidents throughout the years. And I really have never seen the Democrats act quite like this. Obviously, they have TDS, clearly, and EDS with Elon. And it was just kind of disappointing to see that. And, they couldn't even stand for this 13-year-old boy. They couldn't stand for the mothers who've lost, their kid.
Lake and Riley's mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that aren't even political. Like, they're not left or right. They're just things that happen to people. And so it's interesting that they couldn't even clap for that. Like, they were pretty, what's his name? Al Green got kicked out at the very beginning. None of the Democrats stopped him. And then he continued going on until Mike Johnson kicked him out.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
I think people like that just try to go viral so they can get on MSNBC.
Yeah.
They want to do something so they can get on a big network and get seen. But yeah, it was kind of pathetic, to be honest with you. Because people, what they're saying is, he did this for political. It was like a political stunt, I guess you can say, and it really wasn't a political stunt. Because I think it's important for all presidents, and I've seen this throughout the course of time. I think it's important for presidents and this congressional speeches to show Americans out there, like, the real face of what's going on. This is why they cherry pick those people like that, to highlight. Because they represent, like it was Laken Riley getting murdered by an illegal alien. It's important to show that, and she kind of represents that because hers went viral. Her situation went kind of like global. What happened to her child, and it's just showing, this is a problem. It's a real problem happening, and there are representatives that kind of represent that. So while people think it's a political stunt, it really isn't. When any president does that, I don't care if Biden did it. I don't care who does it. It's not a political stunt. It's just highlighting them, right? But let's just say, just for argument's sake, that it is a political stunt. Let's just say it. You can't stand up for a 13-year-old boy.
In 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
Right.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Let's say it is. Why would you not want to stand up for, men out of women's sports?
I mean, he did lots of things. He highlighted Elon and Doge and what they were doing and when the things we're spending our money on. He went on about the Ukraine, and how we should get peace in Ukraine, and then they all didn't like that, and they always, then he called out Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Because Elizabeth Warren, he's like, yeah, you'd like 5 more years of that, huh, Pocahontas? You know what I mean? Like,
with no end in sight, the United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense, with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes. $2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans. But I want it to stop.
These sort of things that the Democrats used to not stand for.
I know.
And now they've completely turned into a demented, enraged, no logic at all, like a mess of a party. You know what I mean?
It was really sad.
It made them look really, really, really bad. They stood with these little paddles, like there was some weird auction. You know what I mean? It was odd. It was odd, and it was unpatriotic. It was like a bunch of babies. And the majority of the country isn't on their side.
Yeah, so that's what's funny.
I think that's another thing that they lost. They know the map, and so they lost so much of the country because they went just too far. Again, liberalism is something you do, to me personally. It's things you do in your personal life, but you really can't run a country on it, because the instant you do, you get the sort of things that happened when Joe Biden was in office. It went crazy. Open borders, inflation, endless wars. It just gets and crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for me, I just feel like they're more mad. I mean, they're mad at Donald Trump, but they're more mad at the fact that they really lost the narrative. Mm-hmm. Like, people started to just think, hey, I don't want to share this country with people who don't belong here.
Right.
Hey, I'm tired of spending a lot of money at the grocery store. I'm tired of these wars that we have nothing to do with, and we're over here funding other people's borders. But then we can't help people in North Carolina that went through a flood, and then people in California who have fires. They're going like, what are we doing? Why aren't we helping our own people? Why are we doing all this stuff for other people? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And then you look at something like Doge, and it's exposing the fact that we've been spending money on things that make no sense at all. And I actually just think that they just lost the narrative, and they're more mad at themselves that they couldn't keep it up.
Right.
Because if you think about it, the Democrats have been doing this for like the last 20 years. It started with the gay marriage with Barack Obama, and then it's gone on into transing kids and, drag queen story hour. And, again, just all these things just started getting worse and worse. And really it was because the Republicans, when the Democrats were at their weakest, the Republicans really didn't say anything. And so they allowed this monster to get stronger and stronger. So then when white people started saying something, then they were racist. But when it was at its weakest, then no one was saying anything about the fact that look, these things are happening, and I think Republicans just thought it was going to go away. And we just created a monster, and that's what they're mad at. I think their monster just hit a high, and people just got tired of it.
Let's just take a minute to talk about this tariff situation. I think it's funny about this tariff talk is that First of all, tariffs have been a part of America since the beginning of America. Tariffs have been every world leader, every country has done trade. This is all it is trade. And what's funny is that all of a sudden everyone just is mad at the tariff thing because it's the only thing I have on him, right? Because he's doing this tariff situation, right? He's adding it to China and Mexico and Canada and all this stuff, right? And people are all up in arms over this. And
if you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in, and whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them. If they do non-monetary tariffs to keep us out of their market, then we will do non-monetary barriers to keep them out of our market.
And people are all up in arms over this. And I'm like, because he addressed this in his speech. The only reason why we even know about the tariffs or why we're even engaged in it is because of his transparency. If he wasn't as transparent, you guys wouldn't even care about that. But I think it's very rich that all of a sudden the left cares about spending. So Trump goes down a list of things of that USAID, this slush fund basically, of things that we have frivolously been spending money on. Odd things, really, to be honest with you.
Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. We know what we're doing. We should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud.
Not a word. No one says anything. Once you find out the information, no one said anything. Starts talking about tariffs, now we got a problem. Yeah. Barack Obama's done tariffs. All presidents have done them. And I feel like it's just silly. It's just one of those silly arguments that doesn't make much sense to me. You know what I mean? And I had this whole conversation with someone at work about tariffs, and this person is going on and on about the tariffs thing. And I asked him, what is a tariff? After 10 minutes of talking, what is a tariff? He doesn't really even know. He has no idea. It's like people are just trying to find something to be mad at.
Yeah, I think people don't really understand government. I was watching Fox and Father the other day, and Lawrence Fox is taking a break from social media because his whole last years have all been about politics in the UK. And Father Calvin's moved to America, and he's been dealing with the politics over here and from his home country. But that's been their whole platform is politics. And Lawrence said he was going to take a break from politics, but he wanted to see while he was gone. I think it's taken like 3 months. He wanted to look at no politics at all because he wants to see how liberal people think. Because a lot of people, I want to see what it feels like to just be completely ignorant because that can happen. I think a lot of people don't really understand politics, and so they vote based on their not understanding. And so he feels like if he takes a break and is ready to get into the mind of someone who just doesn't really look at politics, all they do is turn on like a MSNBC real quick.
Yeah.
Then you'll see. I think you'll be able to see just how white people vote the way they vote. They don't really understand why. Because like Danielle was saying about her friend, the truth is that is how most people think. They don't really know much. They have a lot to say, and they actually go out and vote based on very, very little knowledge about government.
And I, for one, am happy about this because this is really the first time, and this is another reason why I think people are really weird with Trump in general, or even his administration, not just Trump specifically, because this is the first time we've ever seen this type of, letting us in on it. Obviously, it's not everything, right? National security stuff and things like that, but the spending was really, I think for me as a taxpayer, the spending part is always important to me with every administration. And this is the first time that we've ever had an administration that is explaining to us line by line what our taxpayer dollars are being spent on. He's also including us in parts of trying to get peace with wars. He's including us in with that. And I don't understand how anyone can have a problem with a president who is including us in how they're doing things. For years, people have always complained, we don't know what the government's doing. That's all I've ever heard over years. The government does what they want to do. They have somebody come in here, and we got somebody in the deep state and all this stuff. I agree with you. I agree with you. And they're, they don't let us in on anything. And now we finally have a president that is letting us in on these things. Somewhat. Maybe not all of it, but somewhat. Right? And try and get a better understanding about things like tariffs and stuff like that, right? And trade and all these foreign aid things that we're doing, how to end wars, why they begin. We're kind of all into that right now. And it's all because he's being transparent. And now that your government is telling you what is going on, now you got a problem. It's exactly what I told this person. I said, so let me get this right. We have a president that is telling you how your taxpayer money is being spent. He opened up a Department of Government Efficiency to show us what exactly is being spent on, line by line. And you have a problem with that.
And I also think even for voters who happen to be Democrats, I think, again, this is the reason why we dish on Republicans when they do something wrong. Is because I do think that there's sort of a bias and sort of a I'm on your team, so I'm not going to expose. When the exposure comes out and it doesn't look good for your side, you will defend ignorance, and it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? That's why it's just as embarrassing when I see Republicans do dumb stuff and we call it out.
Right.
It's because it is dumb, and I think all of us as voters and Americans need to understand that these parties are trying to win our vote, and they will do what they have to do to win your vote. You know what I mean? They'll lie. I mean, look, we just did the thing on the fact that these government employees don't want to put down 5 things.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are all a part of running our country, and they have been mishandling money. They don't want to come to work. They don't want to put 5 things of what they're doing, and these are the people who are in charge of the way our country runs in some way.
Our government, at least.
Our government runs in some way. You know what I mean? And it just goes to show you that we have a bunch of morons running our country, and they all have their hand in the cookie jar.
Right.
And the problem with the voters is that when you've been a lifelong Democrat and you see your party doing something stupid,
Yeah, which is so stupid.
then what you end up doing is defending dumb because you don't want to feel dumb yourself. It's probably because you went on your social media account and were blasting Republicans, and then when it looked bad, and the Republicans do it too. The instant, Republicans get caught something, they all try to defend stupid too. Which is why I always say it's important for people to call out their own. It's important for black people to call out black people when they look stupid. It's important for women to call out feminism when it's stupid. And you know what I mean? Like, you can't just believe all women. You can't just believe all black people. You can't just believe all Democrats because you're a Democrat. You can't just believe all Republicans because you're a Republican. And this is how they're able to manipulate also. It's because they know that people who have probably just been lifelong party people, they're never really going to leave.
Yeah.
Look at the black community, 90% voting demographic for black voters, and we just never leave. We don't matter. It doesn't matter how much the Democrats don't do anything.
Right.
And black people just keep continuously voting for these people, no matter how much they get exposed publicly.
Yeah.
Black politicians get exposed. Black people will still stay stuck on stupid and still vote for these people every single time. And I feel like that's just what's happening here. It's just like I'm watching the Democrats lose their grip. Because they really don't know what to do with Donald Trump.
Well, yeah, and especially since, so he got the popular vote for a reason. It's because the things that he was saying during his campaign resonated with, obviously, the majority of the country. That includes Democrats. And so because of that, he's making these decisions. And so I feel like that now, it just seems like what do y'all want? Y'all want it to go back to just having your head in the sand and not know stuff? President Trump has talked more than any other president. He has informed the public every single day since he's been president. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not hiding in the basement somewhere and no, vocal. We hear him, we see him, we know about it. He's doing his X post, and we're very informed about a lot of things. And I for one am happy about that. I'm not mad about it. How are you mad about it?
And when he stood up there and talked about his victories, this is why I know that they're mad that they were losing the narrative.
Yeah.
It's because he said he went up there and talked about his victories. He said, we won the presidency, we have the House, we have the Senate. They basically have the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But when he said that he had the popular vote, they lost their mind.
They lost their mind.
See, that bothered them because that means that people, because see, the popular vote, Democrats, because it's possible to win the popular vote, not win, because if you don't get the electoral house, the electoral college, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. And they forever have been saying we need to get rid of the electoral college because how can the person gets the most votes not win?
Okay, well.
So then he won the most votes, and that bothered them because that showed them that they are losing their popularity. Their narrative is being sliced. And as soon as he said they were blah, blah, and they started mocking him. And the reason why is because they just know. They know that the way they've run the country, people said it with their vote this time.
Right.
And there really isn't. You can't be mad at Donald Trump. You have to be mad at the voters. And they can't do that because they need votes.
Right.
So they put it all on him. Like he's done something wrong. He just simply ran for office and had a great campaign. That's it.
But you see what kind of society that we're in right now, what kind of warped, weird world that we're in right now, where the only time that they did clap was for war.
The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense. With no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years?
And the spending of that war, that was the only time they clapped. And then it was an awkward clap because that also put them on blast. Because by you clapping for a war and then spending on that war, it means that you're hell bent on keeping war. It means you're a party that doesn't want peace. World peace. You're a party that does not want world peace. And so by you clapping, it just exposed yourself.
I mean, they want us to fight for Ukraine because it's a small. They think that they're helping the little guy, and that's going to make everybody like them. It's just like it's just crazy. They think by saying, "Oh yeah, we want to stay in war and fight Russia," that they still think it's the Cold War.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
There was a part like on the address too where the right was saying like USA and they were chanting USA, and it's just chilling to watch half of that room not stand up with our country and our flag, but have clothing that has Ukraine clothing on it. Mm-hmm. It's just flags that to me is so chilling that you would be so pro not America. It's just help me understand this. I don't get it. Like we were saying in the beginning, and then seeing them also collectively, obviously it was a collective, I'm sure they coordinated that, right? Collective to not clap for the little boy and, the women and, what's her, Melania Trump is trying to help people, because, there's been a lot of, AI manipulation going on. When that is very dangerous, right? They couldn't even clap for her calls on that.
And Melania Trump is funny because Melania Trump is probably one of the most uncontroversial first ladies.
Oh yeah,
she doesn't say anything half the time.
Yeah,
I rarely hear this woman speak. You know what I mean? She basically just smiles and does work behind the scenes and stands by her husband. That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. But she gets so much hate, and I'm like, why are you hating those women? She barely says anything.
She's a very spoken and well-spoken woman who loves the country and says that constantly, and I like her, and I feel like that's weird too.
Yeah,
the left is so weird. Again, I have watched these addresses before, and I have seen every other president. Even if they don't do a rounding applause for the opposition, when they say something, and that's happened. I get that part, but I've never seen someone not clap for these American citizens out there. I just never seen that before, and I just thought that was really disgraceful. Yeah. But keep it up, because we're looking at 2028. It's looking really good for us on our side.
Yeah, I mean even midterms. I don't see them getting midterms at all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they refuse to really. I mean, honestly, I think Democrats should just be quiet. They lost miserably. It's just like there's really not much. I mean, even people like John Fetterman, Bill Maher, these are lifelong liberals. Like they're pretty much like, God, stop. You're embarrassing us. You're making us look even worse. You know what I mean? And I just don't think that they see themselves outside themselves. And I always think it's so desperate that they're going to lose a narrative that you just keep doubling and tripling down on a narrative that did not get you to the win.
Right.
Donald Trump did a really good job on his speech. It was not boring. No. It was interesting. He's funny and charming as usual, and that's another thing. I think he has a charm to him that irritates them, because people just like him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think they want to paint him as this monster, but he just doesn't come off that way at all. Elon Musk, you can feel how you want to feel about him. His personal life, whatever, it's not my business. But what he's doing in Doge, I do think is good. His work is good, so I don't have. I mean, and that it is.
I'm saying.
If this were the Democrats doing what he's doing with Doge, but it was the Democrats doing it, they would all be for it.
How can you not? Look. Whenever first of all, whenever the government is getting audited, thumbs up. They should be getting audited. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, and I know the left knows that. But
I mean, Donald Trump has a huge mess to clean up. He has a huge mess to clean up from the last 4 years. They're trying to blame him on the eggs. He brought that up, which was really good that it wasn't his fault. stop trying to make it like, oh, why are you're president now, so why should I, he still has to do things that are going to cause us to, it's going to take a minute for him just to, he can't just go and start dictating
They
things.
know that. And they know that. And that's what's making me mad too. Even like with the egg situation, Biden, that's all Biden. He pushed the slaughter of 100 million chickens. So, of course, eggs are going to be in low supply, and when we do have them, they're high priced. So that's what happened. I'm not even really necessarily blaming Biden for that, because there was a bird flu situation going around, so there's reasons why presidents make decisions, but putting that on Trump is not, you can't do that. But he is trying to figure out how to take care of it, and, like I said, even with these tariff situation, like, okay, can tariffs hurt your Americans at some point? Yes, of course. Whenever you are doing some type of trade deal, it doesn't just affect the country that you're trading with. It's also going to affect our dollar too, right? In the long run, it will. Okay, which is why every single president and every single prime minister, every country's leader, uses tariffs mostly as a bargaining tool. But if gone on too long, it can be. But there's another thing he was transparent about. He said that.
You inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. Don't forget, I made the deal with China on the farmers where they had to buy $50 billion worth of product. $50 billion from 15 to 50.
Did they follow up and do it?
They did it when I was president. What happened is when Biden was president, they didn't buy any longer. Yeah, because there was nobody to call them. I used to call President Xi. I said, you got to do me a favor. You got to, live up to that agreement. And he was great. He did.
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman, very successful real estate executive. And a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. In all fairness.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters.
That's true.
And you can't go by that. You have to do what's right. What we're doing is we're building a tremendous foundation for the future. Tremendous foundation. Look, our country's been ripped off for many decades, for many, many decades, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore.
He said, listen, can it hurt our pocket? Yeah, possibly. But you guys, this is a president who understands deals, negotiations, and things like that. Give this man a minute. You know what I mean? Like, he's only been in office for a little over a month now.
He's closed the borders, basically,
It's cut that way down. I think it used to be 1,500 it's 1,100 border passings a day. That is now 35 border passings a day. And most of them are even caught at the border. We have a president that said he's going to do something, he did it. This is not a president just of words, the president of action. And this is why they're mad. Because they're waiting. They're waiting for Trump to mess up.
My problem is them opposing things. My thing is opposing everything he does.
Yeah,
I think it makes him look weak. Yeah. Like, it makes him look like, okay, he's not doing everything wrong. Even your own party,
that.
Even your own voters are going to be like, come on, stop. This is the reason why there are some Democrats that are like, cut it out. Just stop talking.
Right.
If he messes up, wait till that day happens.
Yeah.
But if you're just every day constantly harping at everything he does, that when he does mess up, it's not going to look like he did.
Right.
It's going to look like you're just whining again.
Right.
And they don't know what to do with Trump. I would think the thing that scares them the most is that he's going to get some things done in 4 years, and then everyone's going to like it, and they may not get elected.
I don't even know why people are Democrats anymore. It makes me laugh every time someone is a Democrat. The Democratic platform, to me, is just a dying platform. Like, it's just, I don't even know. I don't even know. I mean, like, we what they're for now is death and destruction. They literally clap for war. not peace. And Trump is up there saying the end result of all of this needs to be peace. You know, peace through strength, but peace. We don't want any wars. It wouldn't even happen if he was president, but it did happen. You know, and they're clapping for that, and it's pretty sad. Yeah, let's know what you think about all this. You think the Democrats are just like done for? I mean, for a while, right? I feel like it's gonna be a long time. In case they kick it into gear somewhere, I don't know, but I'll never be Democrat again.
They're gonna at least have to go towards the middle.
Yeah,
and I don't know that they want to do that.
I don't think
like
so.
They really want to do that. It's like they got a lot of work done, and they want to continue the work.
It looks like they're going more left.
But it just seems like they've let their party be taken over by a bunch of far left lunatics, what Donald Trump calls them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just a far left lunatics that they've just allowed to spin the narrative. And so people who are what you call normal JFK liberals, they've gotten drowned out by, you know, and anytime they say anything, they get called closeted Republicans.
It's not closeted Republican. They have their common sense.
They're just destroying the party.
Common sense Democrats are the JFK ones. Those are the ones that are few and far between. It's gone chaotic now. So yeah, let's know what you think about all this.